I recently posted a video about surviving after being laid off, but in this video, I want to explore ways to minimize your chances of being laid off in the first place and being as prepared as you can. So the first tip would be valuable, but be valuable in the right way. I mean, it almost goes without saying, but it does need to be said. Companies normally try to keep their most valuable people, right? It makes sense. But what does valuable actually mean in this context? It does not mean being the best at what you do. So you could have been the best TV repairman, milkman, typist, but those jobs are all gone. You need to be good and you need to be relevant. The economy is changing and you need to keep up. So if that sounds difficult, I'm sorry, but reality is the best place to be. And this is just the world we live in. There's no employment for life. The company is not your friend, it's not your parent, it's not your caretaker. They are here to make profits and they'll pay you to help them do that. And don't get me wrong, sometimes it's a very good salary and good benefits, but that's the reason you're here. You're there to help them make a profit. So always keep that in mind. So on that note, the second tip would be continuous skill development. So you need to stay current in your industry, in your company. You need to be aware of emerging trends, technologies, best practices. You need to attend workshops, conferences, training sessions. You just need to have a lifelong commitment or a career-long commitment to staying current, staying updated, and being a valuable asset for your employer. You need to build strong relationships. You need to be likable. Cultivate those positive relationships with your colleagues, with your higher-ups, your supervisors, other stakeholders. Network within your organization, your team, outside of work. Create a system, support system to increase visibility. The bottom line is people tend to keep people around that they like. They get the breaks, they get promoted. Is that fair? I don't know. Probably. You get, as leaders, you get to choose who you want to go to battle with, so to speak, and who you think is going to give you the best chance of winning. And that's just the way it is. So be likable. The next point would be make sure you stay healthy, both physically and mentally. So, obviously if you're sick or constantly ill, you're going to miss a lot of work. Not a good look. If you're extremely overweight or have chronic health issues, you'll be out of energy. You'll have, you just won't be as motivated. You won't be as optimistic. You won't be an idea machine. And you just won't be as valuable of a worker. On the mental health side, if your mental health is cratering or suffering for long periods of time, it's kind of the same as being physically ill, right? You won't be at the top of your game. You won't have capacity just for bringing in new ideas. You'll always be frustrated. You'll be desperate. You'll be depressed. You'll be clinging to your old ways of doing things. So it just doesn't give you the best chance for success. So be physically and mentally fit. You also need to be fit financially. Have an emergency fund of about 6 months. Some people say 3 to 6 months. I like to go higher. I like this higher amount because it really protects you and allows you to live and work stress-free, take more chances. So if you're worried about missing a little bit of that interest, having money and savings at like 4 or 5% guaranteed is really not that much different, or not much of a sacrifice than having the extra money in the stock market at say 9%, where you're still exposed to the volatility and it's not liquid, it's not accessible. And then obviously get rid of any debts when you're not, so if you owe things, you're scared, you're just tight, and when you're playing scared, you're not playing your best, you're playing not to lose. And when you're playing not to lose, you're not as valuable, you're not as free, you're not your true self, you're not taking chances. So your odds of being let go increase. And of course, having these things like emergency fund and no debt will help you greatly in the event that you do get laid off and you have no payments, you have extra cash in the bank. Remember, the anti-fragile person has options, okay? In a perfect world, you'd have loads of cash in the bank, you'd have several different valuable skills that you can use here or there, you'd have different interests, different jobs would appeal to you, and you'd have many different friends and connections and contacts. So, the situation would be you're working in this one job, but you really don't care if you're let go. If they lay you off and say, oh, okay, that's fine. I'll take my severance pay of several months and I'll just think about my next move, my next adventure. So that's the attitude. That's the best possible scenario to take, and that's what we want to strive for.